Welcome to Jacket Talk from downtown Lebanon. We are at Buzzcuts. I'm Kevin Stubblefield. Today's show brought to you by Ginger Wellness, by Mid-Missouri Bank, Jacket Nation Sports, and also by Mercy. Come on by and get your haircut here at Buzzcuts across from the post office on Commercial Street in downtown Lebanon. Welcome to Jacket Talk on LEB TV. Coach C joining us as we put a wrap on winter sports. Looking forward to spring. Get this wind out of here. Things will be a lot more comfortable. But starting Friday, Coach, things really start up in earnest, don't they?
Yes, they sure do. You know, we've got 5 activities that really blast off, a couple that kind of carry over. We've got a few of the emerging activities that are kind of blended in a couple of seasons, and a lot of excitement. Obviously, our baseball team, Alex Weatherman's group, I think is very talented and going to have a really nice year. Shane Redmond and our track staff have just tremendous numbers in track, both boys and girls. We're somewhere in the department of 140, 160 kids total. Which is just outstanding, those numbers. Ron Kroll, Hall of Famer, he always has great numbers in his tennis program. And Trey Overstreet, who I think is one of the most charismatic kid magnet coaches that we have in our district, has great numbers in our golf. And we've got some key returners there, some kids that have done really well. And so I anticipate that there's going to be a lot of success there. And then Jacob Woolsey's soccer group is more of a younger crew, but I'm excited to watch those ladies play and compete. And I know they're going to do a great job also.
Yeah, we had golf on last week on Jacket Talk. Man, those are great numbers for track and field. I know from a football standpoint, that has to make you happy with your athletes transitioning onto the track.
No question. I mean, I tell our kids, if you can't do one of the other sports, you need to be doing track. I mean, we want 100% doing something. We don't quite have it that way, but it's real close. And certainly we've got a lot of football kids that maybe aren't like stellar track kids, but yet they're on the team contributing and getting better athletically. And so it's really good. And I tip my cap to Shane Redmond and his staff because they do a really good job of recruiting those kids and providing an atmosphere where all the kids feel involved. Because when you got that many kids, you don't have that many positions, right? So to keep all of them, he's got to do a really good job of making the culture good and making them want to be a part of it.
Yeah. Well, you got to run when you're in track, so that's something that is not very attractive to you and I. But that's a mandate, though, when you're in that sport.
No doubt about it, Kevin. You and me, it's kind of like your purple pin. You know, I don't like purple pins, and I don't like to run, Kevin.
We'll put it undercover here.
So, but there's no doubt about that for sure.
All right, message is delivered. We'll change colors on the ink for next week.
It's a funny story. I'm segueing here, talking about something very pointless, which Ramsey's fault for putting me on the show today. You know, so we'll blame him. But Renee, my administrative assistant, will have purple writing utensils once in a while, and it's unacceptable. I'll usually take those, and they might end up in the trash can. So, and I'll have to buy her something new. So, anyway.
Well, no excuse for me. We'll excuse Renee because she is a critical individual as far as your operation is concerned.
Most important. She's the MVP.
Yeah.
No doubt.
I'm Monty Hayes, Community President at Mid-Missouri Bank in Lebanon. We have the best products and services with friendly faces you know as your neighbors. Our financial experts and community leaders live, work, and play where you do. In a world that is constantly changing, we have the technology and security to allow you to bank from anywhere. Our lobby and drive-thru is open 6 days a week at 278 North Jefferson, or visit us online at openaccounts.midmobank.com. Go Jackets!
My name is Jaysha Connor, owner and nurse practitioner here at Ginger Wellness. I believe that sometimes healthcare does too much, and I believe that's where wellness centers can really bridge that gap and really give people some confidence in natural ways, healthier ways, to really improve quality of life and to get healthy.
We want to feel better and live better lives. It's not about quantity, it's a lot about quality of your life.
Ginger Wellness is where I went to get my quality of life back.
Were you happy with the participation numbers as far as the winter sports are concerned?
Yeah, I mean, obviously our boys and girls basketball team is a cut sport, and both of them were pretty standard. Our girls' numbers actually, Kevin, were better than a lot of our area. I know that you probably took note of the fact that we had several of our C games canceled because teams were unable to field that third team. And we were able to maintain our third team. So that kind of put us in the upper echelon as far as numbers go for the season, which I was extremely proud of that. Brian Decker did just a tremendous job of really bridging the gap there to increase our numbers, and he does so good with harboring a fun atmosphere, but yet also intensive to get better. And so they definitely are making a lot of positive strides, and numbers were really good. On the wrestling side, I think we're in transition there just a little bit, with the fact that, we still are in the midst of our coaching change. Obviously Randy, being with the program for a long time, you're going to have a little bit of a change there. And Nathaniel and his staff are doing a great job of transitioning that, but that's what we're in. And I think that the pivotal part is our young kids and continuing with the great youth program that we have and just continuing to develop. And I want to add that our numbers in wrestling are still at the upper end. You know what I mean? For us, we think of, 70 kids, which there are programs out there that would be happy with 15, right? And we still were way above that. And so our numbers are healthy, but we certainly are in transition to get them back to where, I think we want them to be. And then on the girls' side as well, we Coach Matt Neely, who's, been a state championship coach in our program for now several years, the whole time we've had our girls program, we graduated a crew of kids the year before. And so they're kind of in a little bit of a soft rebuild. I say soft because they still had a great year, but they're kind of in a transition too, just with some changes, which at the high school level happens because Kevin, we're not supposed to recruit, right? And so from that standpoint, you've got what you have, and then recruiting within your own building and growing that way. And so sometimes there's some transitions.
But nevertheless, another state champion out of the girls program, and Jessa Joyner. Congratulations to her, and she has certainly made a mark and an impact on Lebanon wrestling. Without question.
No wrestler in our school's history, either gender, won 3 state titles. So it's just a credit to her. She's a really special kid, not only obviously on the mat. She is extremely talented, but she's also just so level-headed. I just love her humility. I love the approach that she brought to things. She never allowed pressure to get to her, which is so impressive and so difficult to do, especially when you've got a community, at least a wrestling community, who all eyes are on her winning a state title or bust, right? Which is really unfair on a kid, but it's the reality, especially in this day and age. And so she handled all of that better than a lot of us adults probably would, and just attacked it and had just a tremendous year, and she certainly will be missed, no doubt about it.
Well, Jacket Nation, shout out to somebody close to you, Trevor Christian, a former Lebanon State wrestler, a state champion, and concluded his collegiate career at Drury by going to the postseason. So congratulations, Coach, to you and your family, and to Trevor for his accomplishments.
Well, really, excited for Trevor and for next journeys, and proud of him. I think the thing I'll amplify more than anything else is the fact that, you look at the fact that, 93% of high school kids don't go and compete at the next level. And then the 7% that do go, a lot of them don't finish. And so I'm just really proud of the fact that he grinded through 5 years of that, and built a lot of great relationships and just got better as a person. And I'm segueing again. I'm bad about this. It's Ramsey's fault. He asked me to be on the darn show. Okay. But right now you look at the NIL and the transfer portal and the changes to collegiate athletics, having a kid that just went through, and then having a freshman daughter that's in it right now. It's not about money, and it's not about playing time. You know what I mean? It is about, those are kids developing. And we lose sight of that right now. But experiencing it, when Trevor arrived as a freshman to this year, 5th year senior, the growth as a person is something you can't replace, and what athletics does at that level to help with that. Mm-hmm. And so anyway, that's my another soapbox for you today, Kevin.
And Will, I'm sure it wasn't smooth sailing. There's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be rocky roads that you have to traverse.
Oh, without question. I can't tell you the number of times that, am I right for this? Can I do this? And that's part of it, though. It's life, right? I mean, you think about it in a marriage, those kind of questions can come up in the job place, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you got to learn how to fight through and finish. We just went to Harding football coaches clinic that we go to every year. Paul Simmons, the head football coach at Harding, who I think is arguably one of the best head football coaches in the country, all levels, created a culture there that's absolutely unparalleled. He does a talk every single time, and that's really centered on their code black culture. But one of the things he talks about is being a finisher. That as a coach, as a mentor, as a man, what we're trying to do, or a woman, in if she was the coach, we're trying to get kids to be finishers for life in every aspect, from the practice, the workout, the career, whatever it is. And so, it's something that you can't minimize. And the importance of it is through the roof to me. Mm-hmm.
Speaking of college, I know you've been trying to finalize your player list that will be making the trip across the border to Pittsburgh, Kansas for team camp.
Yeah, we're really excited. It's for, transparency for Lebanon football fans that are curious. Northwest Missouri State University made a head coaching change, and anytime that happens, that's usually a complete staff change. And they are going to do a camp, but we just felt like that the fact that it was going to be a completely new staff, that they might be in a little bit of a transition in their own way in that. And Pitt State, their staff's been together. The coach that runs the camp has been doing it a while. So we felt very comfortable that, we needed to maybe step into that situation just so we know what we're getting into better based on experiences from other schools and then, of course, what they're selling. And it is closer. So there's a lot of positives. The one negative is we're going to see some local teams. And, I like to go to a camp where the rivalry component, the we need to win component is not present. I want us to do well at camp, but number one, we want to evaluate everything, personnel, schematics. We want to play a lot of people. We don't want the rivalry part to be in place. And obviously, when you're playing an opponent that you could see in the regular season or see in the postseason, you got that. I mean, you want to do well. You don't want to have a taste after camp. Well, we we played terrible against them. You know what I mean? And so it adds an element I don't like, which could prompt us to go back, because we might be the only crazy folks that are willing to drive 4.5 hours, just so that we can get what we're wanting from the thing. We'll see. But certainly, I think our kids are really excited. Pitt State is an incredible campus, tremendous football facility, indoor facility. I mean, they've got all the amenities of one of the top Division II football programs in the country. And so it'll be a great camp, I have no doubt.
Well, they're still a playoff caliber program. Now they haven't won a national championship in a while like they did when Chuck Broyles was there, but still nevertheless high caliber football.
High caliber staff that's doing it right, and they're trying to figure out, I think, like all Division II and Division I programs, what they need to do within the transfer portal and high school recruiting. It's amazing. We could do a whole show on how that has changed recruiting for high school kids, because I'm in the middle of it right now. When I leave this interview, I've got, before I go home today, I've got to send about 5 emails on 3 of our 2B seniors to some schools that I've got to follow up on today. And in years past, I think at least a couple of them already have offers, and they don't right now. And it's not because they're not good, and it's not because they're not going to land. It's just because no one's going to offer, and with pending portal stuff.
Right. You bang the drum on video on your app every week or two about the weight room, and I'm sure you pound it every minute at school, trying to get more participation, more intensity, more commitment from your football team. Not that it's not already there, but you're still wanting to take it to another level, aren't you?
Well, we are, and with the mindset of, Kevin, we want 100%. I mean, I think that's ultimately what we should strive for, not 60%. While 60% might be the core, might be every kid that's going to start, but it's not everybody. And it's guys, the future guys. I mean, and this is what's hard sometimes for young people to see, is that the reps that I get on a Tuesday as a sophomore, they add up in 2 more years. It's hard to have that mindset, it's just hard. And so we got to coach it. We got to try to help them to understand that, it's one brick at a time that just keeps piling up in order to get where we need to be. And with it all being said, because I know most think I'm nuts, and I am, frankly, but, if our opposition is doing it and we're not, should we believe we're going to win for 1 second? I mean, that's an easy question, right? I think some people like to ignore it. But it's an easy question, and that's what we're trying to do, is just get us in a spot. And I think I highlighted on your show a while back ago that I felt like towards the end of our Ozark Conference adventure, we got a little bit complacent, and we're still trying to get out of that. And we're just going to keep hammering away. It ultimately falls on me. It's my job, and the fact that we're not there is my fault. And we've just got to continue to figure it out, continue to push different buttons to motivate the right way.
Well, I'm going to couch it in these terms to you, and you may agree or disagree, but if people watched Nixa play basketball, and they're still playing basketball today, they lost in the state semifinals in Columbia, what they noticed on the floor was football players that are really good athletes playing basketball, which corresponds to most, if not all, of those athletes having success on the football field, playing in the state championship game last December. So that goes hand in hand, and you can tell the weight room is paramount at Nixa.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, there's a definite link to everything you just said, and you see it in Republic as well, and there's several examples. I remember the crew that Peyton Grubbs at Marionville had last year, small school, Class 1. But I mean, that crew of football state champions all transitioned into basketball, so in other sports. And it doesn't just have to be basketball. I mean, we obviously wrestling is very important here. And so in a large school like Lebanon, I mean, it can transition to a lot of things. But multi-sport athletes is very, very important, I think, for great success anywhere, unless your enrollment is just unbelievably high, and within the enrollment, the participation is, because that's something else that has to be looked at. If you got, let's say you got 2,000 kids, and at school A has 2,000, and so you got 1,000 boys, let's say, and let's say that 300 of those boys actually play athletics. And then you got another high school where you got the same number and you got 1,000 boys, but 700 play athletics. Well, that totally changes the dynamic of your depth, your potential for less multi-sport athletes, etc. Right now, Lebanon, we fall more on the first example that I gave you, where the overall number that we're trying to grow is at a spot where we've got to share. There's no doubt about it. And I know that all of our coaches, I can speak for them all, that all have this mindset. There's not one coach in our system right now that is actively telling our kids not to play something or making it impossible to do both. I firmly believe that. I think that it's a situation where, it just is what it is in some cases with some people. There's 20 reasons why. If there was one, I've joked with you about this on the show, and we've really beat this horse to death. But I've joked with you about how if it was just they hate Coach Christian, we could fix that problem pretty quick, right? But it's not. It's maybe one kid doesn't like me, but then you got 5 others that aren't playing, and they don't. This kid, this is the reason. This kid, it's this reason. This kid, you know what I mean? And so it's impossible right now for us to really come up with a strategy to fix it. And so we're just continuing to try to make things more attractive, better culture, better this, better that, better fluff. Marketing has never been more important than it is right now. And so that's really right now, I think the journey that we're all traveling.
You going to go see the Battlehawks this spring?
We are. We're going to take the team the 13th, and it's pretty fun. I've been to one game. And the atmosphere in St. Louis is pretty good. They kind of get into it since they don't have, NFL football anymore. And, the level of talent, they're all Division I for the most part, collegiate athletes. Some of them are a little bit out of shape from what they might be if they were in the NFL, but they're still, very good. And so the level of football is still, what I would classify as Division I quality of football. So it's a good football. And it's in the Dome. The Dome is a cool place. It really is. It's unfortunate and hard for my head to wrap around the fact that an NFL team doesn't think that's good enough.
Yeah, I know.
I can't wrap my head around that. But anyway, it will be a fun time. Our kids, we went to a Mizzou game, Mizzou versus Memphis in the Dome, maybe 2 years ago, and our kids had a really good time, so I'm excited about it.
All right. Coach, appreciate the visit. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Coach Will Christian joining us on today's edition of Jacket Talk, brought to you in part by Ginger Wellness, Mid-Missouri Bank, by Jacket Nation Sports, and by Mercy. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to Jacket Talk on LEB TV.